Hey wrestling fans, this is Rick from rickswrestlingblog.com. Hey, I wrote a new storyline and I posted it on my website and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about it, give you more of a summary. If you really want the details, you can go to my website, rickswrestlingblog.com, and you can see it in detail. And again, like I've stated in the past, these storylines that I put together are more of enhancing a character that is not being used or a character that's being used with very poor storylines. And so I've kind of made it my mission, sort of. This is the wrestling world in my mind, okay? So I've kind of made it my mission to give these guys a storyline to follow so that it gives us something interesting to watch, okay? Yeah, it doesn't really happen in wrestling. I'm hoping maybe one day the WWE can see something like that and say, hey, you know what? Hey, there's something here and maybe we should go this route. So, and I developed these because there's so many times where we get together for pay-per-views every month, me and my brothers, and we look at these events and we notice that there's two, sometimes three matches that we're interested in. Well, there's normally about seven matches in a pay-per-view, and there's one pre-show match. And if you're only interested in two or three matches, why are we paying $50, $55 for a pay-per-view? That's a lot of money to be spending every month for two or three matches. So this is the wrestling world in my mind, where I go ahead and I write storylines for other characters so that we can have other supporting storylines that are going with it, with a pay-per-view. So in this example, I'm talking about Wade Barrett. Okay, Wade Barrett, as of today, has not been seen in the WWE for a while, and actually Wade is traveling overseas, doing some things for the WWE, but he really has not been used in months in the WWE. And I tell you what, he is a good character. He's actually a pretty good wrestler. He's entertaining. Sometimes can be a little dry, but he can be entertaining. And I like Wade Barrett. I think he's got a lot to give to the WWE. I just think that he's being wasted right now. So here's a storyline. I want to give you just a summary idea about it. Wade Barrett has not been around for a while. So I've got in my storyline, he shows up one day on Monday Night Raw, coming in a limo. He gets out. He's got his suit on. He's looking for the general manager. He goes behind closed doors. He eventually, later on in the show, comes out, goes to the ring, gets the mic, and he makes some announcements saying that Wade Barrett is back and here to change some things up, and him wanting to go back to his roots, not necessarily bare knuckle fighting like he has said in the past, but he wants to change back to his roots for other things. So we'll get that. We get that next week when he comes back on Monday Night Raw, and he comes to the ring and he's actually going to call out former the Nexus members, and it's not that he's trying to start up Nexus again, but he's calling them out and he's pretty much trash talking them. He's pretty much telling them, hey, listen, you guys have done nothing since Nexus. Ever since we broke up, you haven't won any titles. Most of you haven't won any matches. You haven't done anything. So he's calling out people like Darren Young. He's calling out Heath Slater, and he's calling out who's the third one that I haven't called. Cause there's about a 7, 8 of them. Now we're not gonna bother with the Daniel Bryan part of it because Daniel Bryan is up there and we don't need to bother him whatsoever. So anyway, he's calling these guys out, and he's pretty much telling them, hey, listen, you guys have not done anything. I'm sorry, Justin Gabriel was the other one he called out. But you guys have not done anything. You guys, but I want to get the band back together, and what I need from you guys is to know that you're with me. Okay? So he says, next week you let me know, and then the next week comes and he calls them out. They come back out, and one by one they're pretty much saying, you know what, I'm not going to bother with you, I'm not going to do this, I got something going. Darren Young's got the primetime players. Heath Slater has 3MB, and Justin Gabriel recently teaming with Tyson Kidd, not necessarily doing anything, but still. So they pretty much say no, and Wade Barrett is there kind of like he's expecting it. He gets a little frustrated, but he was expecting it, and before you know it, those three get jumped from behind by Ryback and David Otunga. David Otunga has not been seen in WWE for quite a while, but he's still in the background. He's still there somewhere. So, anyway, Barrett comes out, and it's now then 3-on-3, but they just beat these guys down. The following week, Barrett comes out and he introduces Ryback and Otanga along with himself, and he's not calling them the Nexus or the new Nexus. He's calling them the Barrett Barrage. Okay, so Barrage is something that he's had for quite a while now. Now we're turning that into a team. Okay, so he's coming out and he's pretty much threatening, and there's going to be some wars going back and forth. And again, I've got the details in my website if you want to really read it and see what happens. There's people jumping people, there's battles in the back, there's battles in the front, there's battles going all over the place. But the first one that tries to get back at them is going to be 3MB, Heath Slater, okay? And so then they actually get signed up for Royal Rumble. And now you got Heath Slater with 3MB coming against the Barrett Barrage. Now, the thing is with the Barrage is they're definitely bad guys, okay? They are heels. But in this, it turns that Heath Slater and 3MB actually turn face, okay? At least for this little feud that's going on. So they have a battle that goes on in Royal Rumble, but there's no way that the Barrett Barrage is going to lose this, not because, because this is their return, okay? They come back, but then they're going to win that match, but coming back, you got primetime players that come after them now because they had beat up on Darren Young. So I've got a little segment with Titus O'Neil going up against Ryback, and because he's upset because they hurt Darren and blah, blah, blah. The tag team comes the following week, and they go to battle. Justin Gabriel comes back, jumps in. Now it's 3-on-3 again, and so, it's going to lead into some battles going into Elimination Chamber. At Elimination Chamber, I've got the primetime players, Darren Young, Titus O'Neil, along with Justin Gabriel. And they're taking on the Barrett Barrage, Ryback, Otanga, and Wade Barrett. And it's going to be a pretty good match. It's not exactly inside the Elimination Chamber rules. That's not that type of match. Just a regular match. But it's eventually going to lead to Monday Night Raw the next day, where the Barrett Barrage is coming out, and they need to. They had lost the match against the primetime players, okay? But here's the thing: we're not putting them down because they lost. What's going to happen here is that there's so many other tag teams that are going on. There's so many tag teams that the GM decides that he needs to have a tournament to determine the number one contenders for the tag team titles that's coming up for WrestleMania, which is, according to this time frame, it would be right around the corner. So they set up the brackets, and you've got the Barrage versus 3MB again. You got another bracket going on, and this is primetime players versus Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd. Then you got another one where the Usos are taking on the Shield. Then you got another one where the Real Americans are taking on the Tons of Funk. And then the following Monday Night Raw is the winners of those matches taking on, okay, Usos versus the Real Americans, the Barrage versus primetime players. It turns out that it's going to be the Usos versus the Barrage in the finals, but the Barrage ends up winning it. They did not win it, of course, fair and square, so big issue comes out on that final Monday Night Raw before the pay-per-view a week later. And so it turns out that the general manager reorders the match to happen again, and so that they can have a clear winner. No clear winner again. It just turns into a big war, and everybody's disqualified and counted out and all that stuff. So what ends up happening for the pay-per-view for WrestleMania that's coming up will actually turn into a triple threat tag team match for the WWE titles. And so, this is how my storyline goes along, and there's so many other things, and I came up with 3 options at the end because I only go 3 pay-per-views deep. But throughout this whole thing, Barrett is getting involved, and he's getting into some of the matches, but he's not necessarily wrestling in every match, and there's a reason for that. The reason I'm not putting him into every match is because I'm trying to also preserve his character. Okay, I want him to be this big tough guy, and I want him to win. But if I start sticking him in too many matches, just like how WWE does with him, he just ends up becoming a jobber and losing every single match. And I don't want that. I'm trying to build a team. I'm trying to build a force. And I'm trying to preserve him a little bit because eventually I want him to break away from the team and go for his own title. But I'm talking, let's get away from U.S. and U.S. title and Intercontinental and go towards the world or WWE. I want to really build this guy up because he's actually a really good character. And so I've got three scenarios that it kind of ends up here that we can go that at this time Cody and Goldust are the current WWE champions. So we can have in this at WrestleMania where I put that the Barrage would actually win the titles. There's another scenario where the Usos actually win it, but then a war happens between Barrage and the Usos, and it continues on. There's another one where actually Cody and Goldust actually retain the titles. But there's so many things that go on here, but this is just one of the characters that I've wanted to work on and develop for a while, and I want to even take his character and even go deeper with it. But for now, I decided I'm just going to go this route. And I eventually going to do another one coming up where he's going to eventually break apart from these guys. He's going to have a war with them, but he's going to start building up towards world title matches and eventually become a world champion. I don't know how good he would work as a face, but that would actually be my goal, is to turn him against Ryback and Otunga. But that's because he's going to be a face, and I don't know, can he pull it off? Can his character pull it off? So we'll see what happens. So it's been some interesting writing for me. I've enjoyed this one. I think you'd like it if you go to my website and actually read it in detail. It's gonna be a lot better than this summary here. So that's it. That's all I really have to say about it. So I appreciate you guys watching, and please subscribe, and you'll see more of these. All right, thanks a lot, and take care. Bye.